What if I told you the very first novel in the world was written by a woman and it happened over 1,000 years ago? Yep, way before phones, computers, or printing presses, a woman named Murasaki Shikibu picked up a brush and changed history. She lived in Japan during a time called the Heian period. This was around the early 11th century when kings and queens, called emperors and empresses there, ruled from fancy palaces. Life in the royal court was full of secrets, love letters, drama, and poetry. But there was one rule you couldn't miss. Women weren't supposed to speak out too much, let alone write something big. But Murasaki wasn't like everyone else. She worked as a lady-in-waiting in the palace, kind of like a helper and companion to the emperor's family. But behind all her quiet duties, she had a powerful gift. She could write stories that felt real. She saw the way people acted around each other, their crushes, jealousy, heartbreak, and hopes, and she turned all of it into words. But what she did next had never been done before. She wrote a novel, a big, detailed story called The Tale of Genji. It followed the life of a handsome prince named Hikaru Genji, who was charming, thoughtful, and always tangled in tricky relationships. The book talked about love, power, family, and how quickly life can change. No one had ever written a story like that. Not in Japan, not anywhere. Her story didn't just stay in the palace. It spread. People passed it along and read it in secret. Even though she lived in a world where women's voices were quieted, Murasaki's words got louder. Her writing became famous, not just in her own country, but around the world. And today, The Tale of Genji is known as the first true novel ever written. That's the twist most people don't know. Before there were books as we know them today, one woman invented the way we tell long, meaningful stories. She proved that stories can open hearts, stretch imaginations, and change the future. And she did it while living in a world that didn't expect her to speak up at all. So next time you pick up a book, remember this. The first one ever written wasn't by a king, a warrior, or a scholar. It was by a quiet woman in a royal palace who dared to dream on paper.